Midnight, the Arabian Sea churns black and cold. Beneath the surface, an Ohio-class submarine sits motionless at depth. 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles loaded, targeting data locked. 7,000 miles west, at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, engines scream to life. 7 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, each carrying two 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, roll toward the taxiway. No press, no announcements, just the low rumble of America's most lethal aircraft disappearing into darkness. The target, a fortress buried under 90 meters of solid Iranian mountain rock, a place the world said couldn't be touched. Tonight, that changes. 2:10 hours, June 22, 2025. Fordow Uranium Enrichment Facility, Qom Province, Iran. This isn't just another airstrike. Fordo represents the crown jewel of Iran's nuclear ambitions. A subterranean complex designed specifically to survive conventional warfare. Revealed to the world in 2009, it was purpose-built for one mission: enrich uranium beyond the reach of airstrikes. By mid-2025, Iran had amassed over 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium at Fordow, a stockpile that, if further refined to 90%, could fuel multiple nuclear warheads within weeks. Western intelligence assessed Iran's breakout time at under 2 months. The geopolitical math was simple and terrifying. If Fordow continued operating, the Middle East faced a nuclear-armed Iran by year's end. Diplomatic channels had collapsed, sanctions had failed, and only one nation on Earth possessed the capability to reach targets this deep: the United States of America. The B-2 Spirit isn't just a bomber, it's a $21 billion flying wing with a radar cross-section smaller than a Sparrow, 0.0001 square meters from the front. Radar-absorbent skin, no vertical stabilizers, internal weapons bays that keep ordnance invisible until the last possible second. Each aircraft can fly 37 hours non-stop with aerial refueling, carrying 18 metric tons of precision-guided hell. But Fordo demanded something more. Enter the GBU-57A/B Massive Ordnance Penetrator, the MOP, a 20.5-foot steel dart weighing 30,000 pounds. Built with a hardened alloy casing designed to punch through 60 meters of rock or 18 feet of reinforced concrete before detonating 2,700 kilograms of explosive deep inside the target. GPS-guided, terminal velocity exceeding Mach 1, grid fin stabilizers that keep the bomb locked on target through transonic descent. This was the first combat use of the MOP. Until June 22, 2025, it existed only in testing ranges and strategic contingency plans. Iran's S-300 air defense systems protecting Fordo, rated among the world's most advanced. They never saw the B-2s coming. The MOP program began in 2004, conceived by the Defense Threat Reduction Agency specifically for targets like Fordow. Boeing and Northrop Grumman spent 2 decades engineering a weapon that could do what no other conventional munition could: reach buried facilities that previously required nuclear options. By 2011, the first MOPs entered inventory. By 2020, they were quietly pre-positioned in theater, awaiting authorization. Operation Midnight Hammer's planning stretched back months. Air Mobility Command positioned dozens of KC-135 and KC-46 tankers along classified routes across the Atlantic and Mediterranean. US Cyber Command mapped Iran's integrated air defense networks. F-22 Raptors and F-35 Lightning IIs deployed to forward bases. Al Dhafra in the UAE, possibly Akrotiri in Cyprus. Israeli intelligence provided targeting data on Fordow's internal layout, acquired from Mossad's 2018 seizure of Iran's nuclear archive. The strike window opened June 21st. At midnight Eastern Time, 7 B-2s launched from Missouri. Their route, eastward across the Atlantic, refueling over the Mediterranean, threading through contested airspace with zero electromagnetic emissions. 37 hours airborne, 4 aerial refuelings per aircraft, the longest B-2 combat mission in history. The strike package doesn't fly alone. Ahead of the B-2s, F-22 Raptors scream forward at supercruise, Mach 1.8 without afterburners, sweeping Iranian airspace for threats. Their AN/APG-77 radars detect everything. Iran's Air Force stays grounded, blind to the incoming assault. Below them, EA-18G Growlers orbit just outside Iranian airspace. ALQ-99 jamming pods radiating electromagnetic interference across every frequency Iran's S-300 batteries use. A GM-88E, Advanced Anti-Radiation Guided Missiles launch. Hypersonic death streaking toward radar emitters. SAM sites go dark, operators seeing only static. F-35s provide the eyes. Sensor fusion technology combines radar, infrared, and electronic warfare data into a single picture, transmitted across secure data links. They confirm Fordo's air defenses are suppressed. They verify targeting coordinates. Some carry AGM-158 JASSM stealth cruise missiles as backup. 900-kilometer range, 1,000-pound penetrating warheads, but they won't be needed tonight. A DM-160 MALD decoys launch from fighter escorts, filling Iranian radar screens with ghost signatures. 30 false contacts. 50. Iran's integrated air defense system scrambles to track phantoms while the real threat glides overhead, invisible. At 2:10 local time, the first B-2 opens its bomb bay doors. 2 MOPS drop free, GPS guidance locked. They accelerate toward terminal velocity, grid fins micro-adjusting trajectory. Impact. The mountain shudders. Rock fractures inward, creating a crater 15 meters deep. 12 seconds later, the second B-2 drops. Its MOPS drive into the crater left by the first, punching deeper. Then the third bomber. The fourth. Sequential impacts, each bomb burrowing through fractured rock left by its predecessor, digging progressively closer to Fordo's underground halls. 300 miles south, an Ohio-class submarine breaks communication silence. Vertical launch tubes flood. 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles erupt from the Arabian Sea, skimming terrain at 880 kilometers per hour toward Isfahan's nuclear research center. Terrain following Turcom guidance. GPS cross-referencing. Autonomous weapons converging on auxiliary targets while B-2s hammer the primary. Inside Fordo, the world ends. Shockwaves collapse tunnels. Centrifuge cascades. Delicate machines spinning uranium hexafluoride at supersonic speeds shatter like glass. 2,000 tons of rock become shrapnel. The enrichment halls cave inward, entombing equipment, stockpiles, and years of Iranian nuclear progress under rubble. 14 MOPS, 30 Tomahawks, 7 B-2s, 15 F-35s, multiple F-22s. Over 125 aircraft total counting tankers and support. All returning safely. Not one intercepted, not one detected until ordnance impacted. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi would later assess very significant damage to Fordo's centrifuges. US officials declared the site completely and totally obliterated. Iranian authorities initially claimed minimal damage, insisting the facility had been evacuated a while ago. Satellite imagery told a different story. Multiple craters dotting the mountain ridge, tunnel entrances collapsed, access roads cratered by follow-up Israeli airstrikes 2 days later. Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei addressed the nation hours after the strike, defiant. Our nuclear program can never be destroyed. Once you have discovered a technology, that cannot be taken away. He was right about the knowledge, but the infrastructure, the centrifuges, the enriched uranium stockpiles, the years of accumulated progress lay buried under a devastated mountain. Operation Midnight Hammer set Iran's nuclear program back by months, possibly years. 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, enough for multiple warheads if further refined, either destroyed or rendered inaccessible. Iran's enrichment capacity crippled. Natanz, struck simultaneously, suffered similar devastation. But strategic victories come with strategic complications. Iran suspended all IAEA inspections beyond minimal safeguards. Nationalist sentiment surged, even among regime critics. Tehran withdrew from nuclear negotiations entirely. Regional proxies, Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, Houthi forces escalated attacks on US and Israeli interests across the Middle East. Congressional debate erupted in Washington. Republicans praised operational success. Democrats questioned legal authorization for strikes approaching acts of war. President Trump defended the operation as defensive action, protecting American allies and non-proliferation goals. Globally, reactions split along predictable lines. Gulf Arab states quietly celebrated Iran's setback while publicly calling for de-escalation. China and Russia condemned the strikes as destabilizing. North Korea cited Midnight Hammer as justification for never surrendering its nuclear deterrent. Libya gave up its weapons and look what happened. Pyongyang declared. The ceasefire came 12 days later, but the lesson resonated. America possesses global reach capabilities no other nation can match. The ability to strike the unstrikable, to delete infrastructure buried under mountains, to coordinate air, naval, space, and cyber assets into synchronized operations across continents. Behind those 14 MOP bombs sit decades of engineering. Boeing facilities in St. Louis, where machinists fabricated hardened steel casings. Northrop Grumman technicians at Palmdale retrofitting B-2 bomb bays to accommodate 30,000-pound munitions. Air Force crews at Whiteman training for years on missions they hoped would never come. Consider the tanker pilots, KC-135 and KC-46 crews stationed along the strike route, some flying 12-hour missions just to position themselves at precise refueling coordinates. The submarine sailors who loaded Tomahawks into vertical launch tubes, knowing their boat would become a primary target if detected. The cyber warfare specialists at Fort Meade who mapped Iranian networks, hunting vulnerabilities in real time. This wasn't just 7 bombers. It was an industrial ecosystem. Defense contractors, logistics networks, intelligence analysts, satellite operators, all synchronized toward a single objective. Raytheon supplied guidance systems. Lockheed Martin built the F-35s providing overwatch. Thousands of workers across America contributed components to an operation most will never know they supported. Cost? At least $136 million in direct munitions and support expenses. Each MOP, roughly $8.8 million. 14 bombs, $123 million. Factor in $498 million to replace THAAD interceptors fired defending Israel during the broader conflict. Add operational costs, fuel, maintenance, personnel support for 125-plus aircraft, and you're approaching $750 million for one night's work. But compare that to the alternative, a nuclear-armed Iran, a Middle East arms race with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey pursuing their own programs. The economic impact of regional instability on global oil markets alone would dwarf operational costs. Fordow still exists. The mountain still stands. But what lies beneath is wreckage, a monument to the limits of fortification in an age of precision strike technology. Iran will rebuild, certainly. The knowledge remains. The scientists survive. The political will persists. But June 22, 2025 proved something crucial. No target is truly untouchable, not when adversaries possess stealth bombers, bunker buster munitions, and the logistical capacity to project power anywhere on Earth. The raid validated 2 decades of investment in advanced weapons systems. It demonstrated that America's conventional military capabilities can achieve effects previously requiring nuclear options. It also revealed the strategic paradox of preventive strikes, military success without strategic resolution. Iran's nuclear ambitions persist, regional tensions escalate. The operation bought time but guaranteed no lasting peace. Some call Midnight Hammer a triumph of military precision. Others see escalation without endgame. Both perspectives hold truth. What's undeniable, the raid showcased the cutting edge of 21st century warfare, multi-domain operations, stealth technology, global logistics, and billion-dollar precision instruments applied with surgical effect. So here's the question for you. If you controlled the next phase of this standoff, would you double down on military pressure to force Iran back to negotiations? Or would you pivot to diplomacy, accepting that strikes alone can't solve proliferation challenges? Let me know in the comments below. This is DIB Dispatch, where billion-dollar projects meet battlefield reality. Thanks for watching.